So just a quick show of hands. How many of you in this room are working with some kind of video? Some kind of video. Amazing. So many hands. That's right. Because today, as Terry described at the very beginning, things are really changing. And whereas a couple of years ago, we would have said, who are our video experts in the room? Today, because of Creative Cloud, because of the way we work, because of the way things change, everybody's dabbling in new things. And video, of course, is one of those many things that you are likely to be dabbling in. So the first thing I'm going to show you is not only a new app that you can see, which is on the iPad, but this speaks to solving a problem that we've had in video. Well, not so much a problem, but just the standard workflow of logging or taking notes on set when you shoot things. Now that may sound very, oh, I'm making a film or episodic TV, but no matter what you're doing, right? So, and I always talk about this application Prelude, which is behind it, as sort of the Lightroom for video, right? So just like when you take images, you shoot 1 million images, and then you go through and you make your selects. Right? So you select the best ones, then you add metadata, then you take those NEF files or CR2 files and you convert them into DNG, a standard. And we do the same in video. We can transcode to other formats and such. But the point is that you kind of get everything together first in Lightroom and you find all your selects and do all your work, and then you actually begin processing. Well, when you're taking notes on set, even today in 2013, so, all right, action. And the guy goes, oh, so fantastic to be here in New York. No, cut! So the logger goes, take one, false start, bad, director got angry. They're still writing this down. Some people are typing it into a Word doc or something. The whole point of taking these notes is that at some point, this has to get married to the data, to the clips. And there's really no eloquent way to do that. Well, there hasn't been until now. And that's the introduction of Prelude Live Logger. So Live Logger allows you to not only take notes on set, but then instantly, of course, take those logs, all the metadata, all those tags, and then upload it to the Creative Cloud and immediately marry that to the clips that you're actually shooting on your camera. So it's a very simple interface here. The templates are where these are the actual files that contain the metadata or the tags that you're going to use. And then we have the log files themselves. The log files just contain all that metadata that you're ultimately going to tie to your clips. So just to kind of illustrate how this works, I'm going to go into a sample that we have here called Good and Bad. The author will be me. The location will be here, NYC. Confirm. So here's how it works, right? You're on set. Now just imagine you're filming me. They are filming me right now. So somebody might be taking notes right now, hopefully with Prelude Live Logger, not with pen and paper. And they're watching this, and they make a comment, right? Jace told joke. And as fast as you can type, you can get really verbose with this. Good, okay? And then, like all comedians, I tell a joke, I get a laugh, get a little overconfident, I say something not so funny. So you log it again, and at that moment, again, we can say that this is bad, and we can say in my comments, joke fell flat, and you get the idea. And the person who's taking this note keeps logging. And I might like to point out, for those of you who are left-handed, they finally have something for us. You see? Look at that. You log with your left thumb. Yeah! No one cares. You get the idea, all right? Now, it's really simple to build these templates. They can get very complex. And just in an effort to save some time, I'm going to show you kind of how complex these can be. Ultimately, again, we're just talking about images and text here. So if you were logging something like a sporting event. Now, why sporting events? Well, think about television, broadcast TV, right? So again, when you have your highlight reel at the end of the game, today, putting together those highlight reels, they have to do it so quickly, and they do it with this kind of mixed manual written text kind of method. This way is so much faster, and I'm going to show you how. So here we are actually going to pretend to log a European football or soccer game. And again, author will be me, location will be here. And this will kind of show you an expanded look at sort of an advanced template. So we're watching the game. Okay. And you can see right away now we've got these more advanced categories. All right, so what happens at this moment? I log a moment. I go to Teams, where now you can see I've put in thumbnails of all the team members. So I can say, okay, Songster, and what did he do? He had a play. He had a goal. And at the same time, he got a yellow card. And maybe that's going to be a candidate for the highlight reel. But oh, at that moment, someone else. Who is it? Oh, Flanagan and Songster. Now there's a red card and a penalty. And of course, we want that. That's good because there was a fight, and you can type that in there, and again, as fast as you can go, you're typing all these things, and then moments later, again, another guy comes in, and this guy, makes a goal, but it's nothing special, so we don't consider that for the highlight reel, okay? So now you can sort through these things, but again, your editor, when we tie this back to the clips, if he wants to find all those good moments, those highlight-worthy moments, he can do it instantly. And all of this is going to immediately marry to the clips coming right off the camera. So how does that happen? How do we do that? Well, this is where we go into the logs here. Now, you can just see the Arsenal versus Liverpool log in the upper left. That's the one I just created, as well as the good and bad one. And then under settings here, we have some very basic things. Marker duration and pre-roll, kind of figure those out, right? We give you pre-roll, so you can actually back up the marker so that when your editor is looking for that, they have some pre-rolls. And then you have your time code source. Now, at the moment, I'm using the absolute time on the clock. Ambient is a very popular hardware-based time code generator used in broadcast and all kinds of different arenas. We support that, as well as the Wi-Fi time code buddy. So again, these are actual time code generators which will take the time code from your respective camera and can be synced directly to the iPad. And in the case of ambient, there's actually a dongle that connects directly to the device, feeding it time code from the camera. All right? So you know that all of these actual moments that you're logging are time coded and perfect exactly in time where they should be. So, when you're done with your log, now, of course, you have the option to share. And as you would expect, you're going to first upload this to the Creative Cloud. So we can select the ones we want to upload. I'll choose the 2 that we just did and click OK. And you can see a little progress meter there. They are now uploading to the Creative Cloud. Now, when I go to the Creative Cloud, I can go to my to the website here. Oh, and there's my Behance page. So we go into Creative Cloud, and here you'll see that there's a folder that's automatically generated called Live Logger. And inside Live Logger, here are all of the metadata files, all of the log files that we just created. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can have someone in the field logging. In a more broadcast arena or environment, you've got people who are, logging, shooting, uploading remotely, and then there's an editor waiting. So this way you can actually share these files just as Paul showed you earlier, and you can say, here's the particular, now this is actually the text version, there's text and XMP, XMP being the standard that you all know from Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. It's the same metadata standard that we use across all the video products. You can share and you can say, okay, Jim, this is the one you want to use, right? You make the comment, he gets it. And then inside Prelude, we have a panel in here, an expanded panel, and in this panel you'll see there's a button here to download from the Creative Cloud. So I'm simply going to log in to my Creative Cloud account. It pulls up this dialog box here where now you can see all the folders that we just saw. And here's my Live Logger folder, and here are all of the logs that I've been doing since we've been on tour for the last couple of weeks. Now, the one I want to use for this particular example is live game logging, because this one we actually logged against a game offline from television, okay? So I click download. I'm going to select this here. Then you can sort it, by different start times or durations, description. I think you get the idea there. But the key is, in this case, how do we now marry this to our clips? Well, when you look at the application options here, if you choose marker start time, this is assuming that you've used some kind of generated time code, whether via ambient or time code buddy. So in this case, because we logged this off of TV, we were just doing it live with the sort of, absolute time. So for me, I'm going to apply those markers at the current player position. And when I apply it like that, if you've never seen Prelude before, it will actually place those markers right inside the timeline with all of the associated tags or whatever information you put in there. So if I go to my marker list here, you can see I've got all my tags, I've got all my time code, little thumbnails representing those moments. This one here, it says corner kick. Okay, so if I shuttle to that, again, based on the time code, I go right there. And there's the corner kick, okay? All right, we can wind back to that. So now everything is time-coded. Everything is in front of me. So my guy or gal in the field is logging. They're uploading. I've got it. I've got my footage. It's all time-coded. We need the highlight reel now. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. And remember, one of the tags that we added was goal, for instance. So now I can see all of the goals from this game. So let's create a new rough cut. And I'll place this on the desktop. And we'll say NYC. Click Save on that. Make sure it's empty. Okay. Now I'm going to select all of my goals for my highlight reel, go up to the rough cut menu and choose Add Selected Markers. And just like that, all done. We didn't even have to look at the footage. We didn't have to look at the clips. It's all time code stamped, but you get the idea. So what does your director probably want? He wants a marker list, right? He wants to be able to see at a glance all of the things that you've done. So what's really cool is that now, directly from Prelude, not only do you have the option to export the rough cut by itself, so you don't have to go to Premiere. You can if you want. You can export the rough cut right from Prelude. You can export the clip or subclips directly from Prelude, but you also have the option to export your marker list, okay? So again, this is going to give your director, this is going to give all the people who need to know what happened when in little moments, all the data they need at a glance very quickly. Stick it on the desktop here, it creates the marker list, it tells me, okay, I can open the folder where it was created, there's my HTML, back in the browser, boom, here we are. Now you've got all the thumbnails, you've got all the tags in the description, the in and the out, the duration, and any other metadata that you added so that they can go through your shot list and go, okay, yeah, best take, good take, false start, blah, blah, blah. It's all there, and it's all accurate. So they can say, oh yeah, scene 5, this time code, make this change. It's already done for you. So again, trying to think of new ways to do stuff that we've been doing forever, but just making it better, making it a little easier, and improving the process for editors alike, okay? All right, so we're going to get out of Prelude and we're going to go into Premiere Pro. As mentioned, we just had a massive release for the video products, over 150 new features, and that is the promise of Creative Cloud, is that we are constantly innovating, constantly delivering new features based on things that people ask for, people request. Now, in CC, we added some very cool functions to do color grading between Premiere Pro and a professional grading tool. For those of you not familiar with grading, it's color correction just on video. Which the previous workflows, there were two options. You could either send a timeline to Speedgrade. So I'm just going to play this little timeline for you here. Now you're going to see some weird transitions in there, and by weird I mean ones that you wouldn't normally choose, but I'll explain why in a moment. You could send this timeline to Speedgrade, and what that would do is it would render out the time, like that transition, yeah, don't use that one. But you'll see why in a moment. You can render this out as a 10-bit DPX sequence. It's still going to give you all the cut locations where all of these clips lived, but it's flat, right? It's a flattened clip. So you would grade it, and then if you came back and your director said, no, I want this iris to last longer, you'd have to re-edit, re-export, regrade. Right? So there's a lot of like exporting involved, a lot of time wasted, and people didn't love that. But that's kind of the way it's been done. Now the other option is something known as an Edl workflow, which everybody who's in that business is familiar with, where basically, again, you flatten everything out, you export everything as one long clip. The Edl is going to give you the cut positions of all those things. So you're basically grading as if they were clips. But again, what if you had something like, picture-in-picture or multiple clips playing simultaneously? If the director came back and said, no, I'm going to do more, Brady Bunch style, 9 up or 4 up even, I don't want this, you'd have to change it all, re-export it. So all of our video editors around the world said, surely you've got all these technologies like Dynamic Link, which allows you to use After Effects and Premiere without rendering, and we have all these new things that allow you to do things without rendering. Surely you can come up with something, some kind of direct link into Speedgrade without rendering. So we developed a feature called Direct Link to Speedgrade. And here's how it works. So directly from Premiere Pro now, it'll ask me to save the project. Now, again, this isn't rendering anything. What this is actually going to do is open up the entire Premiere Pro timeline as you saw it inside Speedgrade, including the ability to see your transitions, to see all of the color coding of your associated tracks, and everything is live. These are the actual clips as they appear. You'll notice the timeline even looks like Premiere's, because this is actually Premiere inside of Speedgrade. We are actually feeding the frames just like that. So now, if I wanted to say first do something like an overall grade, I always create a layer, an adjustment layer in my Premiere projects, and I usually call them production look. So down below in Speedgrade, we have a whole series of LUTs, lookup tables, and preset color presets. So just like you would have in Lightroom. So if I wanted to sort of emulate a Fujifilm stock overall, just to give everything a particular overall grade, I wouldn't necessarily do it that way, but I could come down here, select my production look layer, and maybe I'll select this Fuji one, just to give everything a bit more of a high contrast. Now, the reason I showed you that horrible transition before is because what if you were grading this and you had to transition, right, from this to this? Well, how would you get there? You'd actually have to mask that circle, right? Or if you had, 4 images, like 4 videos playing here, in a flattened workflow, in an EDL workflow, you'd have to mask all 4 of those. And you can see the temperature of those 4 clips is different. Well, now because they're all live, because nothing is rendered, I can come in here and I can start making adjustments, individual temperature adjustments to my clips, just like this. So I can come over here. Let's go to our master clip here, the big one on the left. We'll adjust the temp. I want to kind of mimic this one over here. And I can go to my color wheels, kind of a crushed little UI here because of our resolution, but you get the idea, and I can make any other additional changes. The point is it's all live. And similarly, if I were, say, going to transition here and I wanted actually this clip to be black and white or sepia, but I don't have to worry that I have to mask anything, because again, the mask is totally live, right? And it's still editable in Premiere. So I don't have to do any kind of masking and say, okay, that's great. It's not, but let's go ahead and go back to Premiere Pro, save it, go back. There we are, bzz, done, okay? So now we can play this. It transitions to black and white. And again, the director says, oh God, I love that iris. I haven't seen that since '86. Can you make that? Can you make that? I want my audience to enjoy that for as long as possible. Just really slow it down, man. Just give me...
Sick.
I know, in New York City I'm showing this. I'm so embarrassed. But it's live. You get the idea. Again, here's my 4-up display with my color changes made. If you go ahead and look at our effects controls here, the Lumetri effect, which was also new, introduced in CC, the 32-bit floating point Lumetri color engine from Premiere, from Speedgrade rather, in Premiere Pro. So again, I can disable this. There's our original clip on the bottom right. Enable, it all just plays in real time. Nothing's been rendered. And again, here's our master production look. So as I'm kind of looking at this footage, yeah, it's a little too high contrasty. Here's before, here's after. I'm not crazy about it. Let's choose a different one. I'm going to take that off. So I want to go back to Speedgrade now. Well, once again, I can choose File, Direct Link to Adobe Speedgrade. Yes, take a drink of water. I can't even get to my water. It's that fast. It's already there, okay? Because there's no rendering. And you can see, if we zoom in here, we've, our elongated iris transition. It's all showing up live because that's the idea. Nothing is rendered. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's awesome. What if I want to work on multiple sequences? My project in Premiere has 20 different cut sequences. Well, we have another new function here called the Open Premiere Sequence Importer. So you can open up multiple sequences and grade those simultaneously. So here, perhaps, I want to add one of my Fuji high contrast filters, okay? I can do that. I can then go back, and maybe I want to nest these two together. Or maybe I've got a whole series of cameras, and I kind of want to flatten them out before I begin grading. Well, new in this latest version of Speedgrade CC, we've acquired a whole new series of looks called Speed Looks. So we have Speed Cine Looks, which are just additional color presets, right, just like you would have in Lightroom. But then we also have Speed Looks camera patches. So these are actual color presets, LUTs basically, based on about 15 different cameras, including Blackmagic Cinema camera, Red Epic, Red Dragon, Arri Alexa, where you can apply these LUTs to the clip before you begin grading, so it evens all of your cameras out, so that they're all at the same starting point before you begin grading. So this is now in Speedgrade CC today, right? So whether you're shooting 7D, 5D Mark II, Mark III, Nikon D800, D4, all these presets are in there. You can get more, you can make your own. It's just amazing, and it really speeds up the process of working. So once again, I can send this back to Premiere, click yes. You'll notice here, if I go full screen on this for a second, a couple changes that we made in our project panel. Notice the familiar sequence icon here, but like regular video clips where we have this thing called hover scrubbing, everything is scrubbable before you begin working with it. Now, before I get to After Effects, shooting 4K, 5K, 6K is just becoming the thing now, right? So of course we have to react to this, and we have to be able to support all of these things. And Adobe's big thing in the video space is to be able to work natively with these formats. So now we've supported RED cameras since the beginning of the Mercury playback engine. And if you take a look at this footage here, which incidentally, based on my Mercury playback settings, I'm actually playing back at 1/8 resolution. It still looks pretty good. Now when I stop, of course, everything sharpens up, right? That's the nature of the playback engine. We can drop the res to give us better scrubbability and playback performance, but when we stop, everything sharpens up. This is why we can work with these files natively. And if you look here, you can see this is actually an R3D file. But this isn't any R3D file, no. Let's go ahead and turn on my preview area. What is this? This is 6K. Friends, we are playing native 6K media, which is coming off of a spinning 7200 RPM USB 3 drive on my little MacBook Pro here that doesn't have any kind of acceleration in real time. 6K, native, real time. Yeah, that's right. This is big, right? So we have to evolve with them, right? and now you've got all this native support. You can still transcode if you want. That's what Prelude is for. That's what Media Coder is for. So let's go into After Effects and talk to you about some of the cool innovations that we've done there. And actually, the first thing, moving into Ultra HD, 4K. You can go to Best Buy and buy 4K TVs right now. But broadcasters are freaking out because, of course, not everything was made in 4K. And I was saying this story about, broadcasters and like film studios. They just spent all this time scanning all this film for Blu-ray, for 2K. And they're like, oh, again? Not everything. What'll get it? Star Wars, sure, Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, Fletch. I mean, I love Fletch, but it's probably not going to make it in 4K scan. As Terry said, we've got to be able to up-res a lot of material, especially things like episodic TV that was shot standard definition on videotape. There is only a 720 by 480 master. There's nothing to scan, right? It's that small, but we have to somehow make it bigger, and it's got to look good when we make it bigger. So if you take a look at this footage here, this is approximately 565 by 450 pixels. So let's consider this SD. It's a little bit smaller, but this is standard def content, which I have subsequently placed inside of a 4K plate. Seems ridiculous, right? No, this is exactly what I'm talking about. That's what SD looks like on your 4K TV if you didn't scale it up at all. Ugh, right? So how much would you have to scale it? Well, we introduced a new scaling algorithm right inside the comp on the layer in After Effects in June. So again, we have the June release and now the October release, October release. So if you want SD to fit a 4K plate, you have to scale it up approximately 723%. I'm going to do right there. Now, let me go to 100% view here. So this is in draft mode first. So here we have the previous bilinear scaler. And just as Terry described, it's really harsh, doesn't look very good. This is what we introduced in June, bicubic. And if you see there, it got a little better, a little more definition. But this scaling algorithm was never designed to do SD to 4K. It was never designed for 700% scaling. No way. SD to HD? Yeah. 720p to 1080p? Totally. This will work great for you. But SD to 4K, it just wasn't designed for that. So we needed to turn to an algorithm, or rather turn to a group of users that are used to working in extremely large rasters, photographers. Now, I happen to shoot, like Terry, with a Nikon D800, 36 megapixels, 7,200 by 4,900. I shoot 7K every day, man, in stills. So rather than reinvent the wheel, we said, well, wait a minute, Photoshop just got this amazing new scaling algorithm which deals with these amazingly large rasters. Why not just take that and make it an effect in After Effects? And that's what we did. So we took preserved details enlargement and we turned it into something called detail preserving upscale. I have the exact same scaling percentage, approximately 723%. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on to 100% view. And now, okay, wait, just wait for it. Hold on. Before, detail preserving upscale. Yeah. All right. So the lines, sharp, right? The details, preserved. This effect is what we refer to as temporally coherent. So it's not merely just averaging. It's actually going to analyze each pixel, each frame, just as if you were doing individual images, and scale appropriately to give you the best output possible. All right? Detail preserving upscale. This is, now, as Terry mentioned, are there other scaling algorithms, plugins, and things you can? Totally, man. This is built into After Effects CC, okay? Using Photoshop technology. We've borrowed a lot of things from Photoshop recently. The Refine Edge tool in After Effects, also from Photoshop. And you're seeing a lot more of this, of borrowing technologies from the various apps, because now we have the flexibility and the ability to integrate them together. So the last thing I'm going to show you here is actually something else that I've actually requested for a very long time. And while we've done a lot with changing how we rotoscope and how we refine edges, we hadn't really touched masking in After Effects for a very long time. So this example actually illustrates something that I learned from someone when I first learned After Effects about 12 years ago. So what we have here, oh, let me get rid of this, sorry. What we have here is this footage of this car, this SUV, and the director wanted to brighten up the headlight, right? So how would you do that? Well, so this is literally something that I learned how to do years ago. This is like one of my first tasks. So I came in here, and I grabbed my pen tool, and I built a very simple mask. I'm not going to worry about being totally accurate here, okay? So we're going to mask the headlight like that, close enough. And then I'm going to come over to my effects. I'll add something like a glow. Add the glow to this. And I'll never forget, this is exactly what happened 12 years ago. So I'm like, okay, perfect. And I hit play, and I'm like, oh, what happened? Now, I don't know if many of you will know Angie Taylor. She is like the goddess of After Effects. I was personally taught After Effects by Angie, and she's from Scotland, and I won't do her accent. But I said to her, so Angie, how do I make the mask move? She goes, it's very simple. Think Scottish accents. Very simple. You animate it manually. I said, yes, but I'm American, so what button do I push to do it for me? So it's very good. It was a learning lesson. It taught me how to animate, but it just seemed odd that we didn't have a way to just track the motion until now. So now, if you twirl down my little adjustment layer here under Masks, right-click, you will see that we have the option now to track the mask. When you do that, you have your options here. I'll, in this case, choose Position, Scale, and Rotation. And if I simply go ahead and click Play on this, it now begins tracking the mask position just like I assumed it should have 12 years ago, very nicely for you, okay? And just like that, now we've got the track motion with the glow. Now, another sort of more common use for this might be in an example like this one here. So here's that same girl that you saw in some of Terry's images. This was shot in Kauai, and she's backlit, right? So some of her face is in shadow. Well, again, we'd use masking, but her head's kind of moving all over the place. So I basically created an elliptical mask. I tracked the mask with the mask tracker. I then added some levels and exposure, and if I go ahead and turn this on and twirl it up, now right away you're thinking, oh, that looks too bright. Let's get rid of that placeholder, and like you never saw it before, now her skin is evenly toned. So again, before, ooh, she's in shadow. After, there's our mask. Take it away, play, save the day. Really easy, works as expected. So I've said on this whole tour, you know, it's not enough to just talk about it. I like to sing about it. I like to let my hair down, Terry. Uh-oh. What's left of it.
So do I.
And sing about it. So I did just that. Now, some of you at Adobe Max may have seen this before. It's still a work in progress, which means I'll never finish it. But I think this kind of illustrates everything that we've been talking about here today, and it's a little tune for you. So dig this and watch.
You have longed for this dream since way back in CS2. The cloud. Welcome to the cloud.
Welcome to the Creative Cloud.